The wind rolled over the endless plains of Wyoming, carrying with it the scent of sagebrush and the quiet hum of a coming storm. The sun was sinking low, spilling golden light over the small town of Clearwater. Dust rose with every hoofbeat, and the sound of a wagon creaked through the stillness. Inside that wagon sat a woman who'd seen too much for her years. Clara Dawson held the reins loosely, her gloved hands trembling ever so slightly. Her eyes, gray like a coming rain, stared out across the horizon. She wasn't sure if she was running toward something new or just away from the ghosts behind her. She had answered an ad. A simple one, printed on yellowed paper at the back of a Denver newspaper. Rancher seeks helpmate. Honest, hardworking. No questions asked. No questions asked. That was the part that drew her. When she arrived at the ranch, the world seemed to open up, a wide valley framed by red cliffs and endless sky. A man stood by the corral, mending a fence. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with sun-browned skin and a quiet steadiness about him. His shirt sleeves were rolled up, revealing strong, scarred forearms. He looked up when she stopped the wagon. "You must be Miss Dawson," he said, his voice low and even. "Yes, sir," she answered, climbing down carefully. He wiped his hands on a rag and extended one. "Name's Elias Turner. I reckon you're here about the posting." Clara nodded, uncertain. "That's right. I can cook, clean, mend, and I'm not afraid of hard work." Elias studied her for a long moment, not in the way most men did, but like he was trying to see her truth without prying into it. Finally, he nodded. "That'll do just fine." The Turner ranch wasn't much, 2 barns, a windmill, and a weathered house perched on a ridge. But to Clara, it was a fortress of peace. Days passed quietly, marked by sunrise chores and evenings by the fire. She fixed meals, mended shirts, and sometimes joined Elias outside, helping with the horses. At first, they spoke little. Elias was a man of few words and slower smiles, but he had a gentle way about him. He never pushed, never questioned her past. To him, she was simply Clara, the woman who showed up when the ranch needed another heartbeat. Still, she noticed the way he treated the animals, patient and steady, never harsh. When a storm broke one night and the barn roof threatened to lift off, he ran into the rain, shouting orders for her to stay inside. But Clara followed anyway, holding a lantern against the wind as they fought to tie the roof planks down. When it was over, soaked and laughing in disbelief, something shifted between them. "Didn't think you'd come out in that mess," Elias said, brushing water from his hair. Clara grinned. "Didn't think you could do it alone." For the first time, he smiled fully, a rare, quiet thing that warmed her more than the fire ever had. Weeks turned into months. Spring brought life back to the valley. Wildflowers bloomed, and the cattle grazed lazily in the fields. Clara found herself humming as she worked, something she hadn't done in years. But peace never came without a shadow. One afternoon, a rider appeared, dusty, sharp-eyed, wearing a town sheriff's badge. He dismounted slowly and tipped his hat. "Afternoon, Miss Dawson," he said. "Or should I say, Mrs. Clara Hensley?" The color drained from Clara's face. Elias stood nearby, frozen in place. The sheriff's tone wasn't cruel, but it carried weight. "Been looking for you for some time. Your husband back in Denver's been worried sick." Elias looked at Clara, confusion and pain in his eyes. "You're married?" Clara swallowed hard. "I thought he was dead. He left me years ago after things went wrong. I had nothing, no one. When I saw your ad, I didn't think anyone would want someone like me." The sheriff sighed. "Far as I know, he ain't looking to press charges. Just wanted to know you're alive. I'll tell him you're safe." He tipped his hat again and rode off, leaving dust and silence behind. Elias said nothing for a long while. Then he turned back toward the corral. "You should have told me." "I know," Clara whispered. "But I was afraid. Every time I've told the truth, people turned away." He paused, his jaw tight. Then quietly he said, "I'm not people." That night, the wind howled outside. Clara sat by the fire, staring at the flickering shadows. She half expected Elias to tell her to leave, but instead he came in, carrying a cup of coffee. He handed it to her without a word. "You didn't have to stay," she said softly. He sat across from her, eyes on the flames. And you didn't have to tell me the truth. But you did. Clara blinked back tears. You don't understand. I've made mistakes. I ran from a life that broke me. Elias turned to her then, his gaze steady. Everyone's running from something. The question is, do you keep running, or do you stop long enough to build something better? He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. I don't care where you came from, Clara. I care where you want to go. Those words settled deep in her chest, heavier than any promise. By summer, the ranch had changed. So had they. Clara planted a small garden out back, while Elias fixed the porch that had long been sagging. They worked side by side, quietly building something that looked a lot like home. Every now and then, a traveler passed through town and brought news from Denver. Clara's name came up once or twice, but it seemed her past had faded into the dust. One evening, as the sun bled across the horizon, Elias brought out 2 old mugs and poured them both a bit of coffee. Been thinking, he said. You've been here a long time now. Ranch feels different, with you in it. Clara smiled softly. Different good or different bad? He chuckled. Good. Like it's got a heartbeat again. She looked down shyly. I don't know what to say. Then don't, he replied. Just stay. The wind picked up, rustling through the cottonwoods. She looked at him, eyes glistening. You really don't care about my past? He shook his head slowly. No, can't build a future looking backward. Years later, people in Clearwater would tell stories about the Turners, the quiet rancher and the woman who came from nowhere. They said the two of them built one of the finest ranches in the county, not with money, but with trust and grit. When storms came, they faced them together. When drought hit, they shared the last of their water with neighbors. And when travelers asked about how they met, Clara would just smile and say, he saw who I could be, not who I was. Elias would tip his hat and add, that's all love is, isn't it? Seeing the road ahead and walking it together. On their 15th anniversary, the valley bloomed brighter than ever. Wild horses roamed the ridges, and the air smelled of new grass. Clara stood on the porch, watching Elias repair the fence near the orchard they'd planted years before. Her heart swelled with quiet gratitude. She thought of the woman she'd been, the one who'd ridden into town with nothing but a scarred heart and a second-hand dress. She never imagined she'd find peace, let alone love. When Elias returned, wiping sweat from his brow, she met him halfway. You've built me a home, she said softly. He smiled, brushing a strand of hair from her face. No, Claire. We built it. Together. As the sun dipped low, painting the sky in amber and violet, she realized something she'd known for years but never said aloud. Love wasn't about where you'd been. It was about where you were willing to go.